The way I'm going to introduce myself is a completely different way. Hi, my name's Paul and I'm a recovered drug addict. I say that because for about 18 years, blasted myself to pieces with drink and drugs. It's like, I thought any given moment I'm gonna die. I lost a good friend of mine to suicide, and the only way I thought I could get rid of this pain and this anxiety and the suffering was to go and use drugs to mask it. Put my parents through like quite a bit of misery, especially my mum. About a year and a bit into my like everyday using, I was like sniffing off the counter and I went, "You're a coke addict." I do feel sorry for my son, I'll be honest with you. But whenever he came around, he had a constant stoned father, and then towards the end he had a constant stoned and coked up father. But the best thing for me to do now is to wholeheartedly be there for that kid, to give him as much physical love as I possibly can, as much emotional love as I possibly can, and I love doing that for him. With this program, it's designed to get you connected to a power greater than yourself. Not proud of my actions, not one bit, but that's what this illness will do to you. It just leads you down a path. I jumped through hoops to get where I am today, and I still will jump through some hoops to keep on staying clean and sober. No amount of therapists, doctors, psychotherapists, counsellors, drug clinics are going to stop you taking drink and drugs. A 12-step spiritual program will.
Spun that right.
Yeah, I'll do it again. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Curious Fijian. I'm your host, Fijian.
I'm the co-host, Rain.
And we got a little something different today. We got Paul with us. And he's just going to be telling us, because obviously you've had an inspirational journey with some of the things you've battled with and you've come back from. And we're just going to go through your life, really, through your journey. Yeah, and then whatever you're happy to talk about. Because I just think your story will inspire a lot of other people's, because it relates with what we do on the podcast already and how we talk about. So if you want to introduce yourself a little bit and...
Well, firstly, thank you both for asking me down here to do this. It's my first podcast. I'm not lying, I am a little bit nervous about this, but the way I'm going to introduce myself is a completely different way. Hi, my name's Paul and I'm a recovered drug addict, I say that because for about 18 years, blasted myself to pieces with drink and drugs. It weren't all bad at first. I've had some great times on drugs, but I suffer with a progressive illness, and it got worse until I had to go and seek help. And I'm sitting here today just over 3 years clean and sober, thanks to working for a 12-step spiritual program, getting connected to God every single morning and staying on that path of righteousness and clean and soberness. You know what I mean?
Is that what the program does with you? Does it?
The program deals with the disease of addiction. Like, I did not know this when I walked into this program. I just thought I need to go and get help to stop cocaine, but behind cocaine I'm smoking cannabis, I'm sniffing poppers by the bucket load, I'm drinking in excess, and I'm smoking copious amounts of cannabis at the same time. So you got all that going on, and I'm just a washed up mess, absolutely washed up bit of mess, just thinking it's the cocaine that's messing me up. But you got to think, like, I'm throwing all them other drugs into that. That's a massive cocktail.
Yeah, if you were a drink, you would have been a cocktail, man. Fucking hell.
Was it drink as well? Was you drinking as well?
Of course I was drinking as well.
Drink, poppers, cocaine, weed.
Ecstasy.
Weed's a silent one, isn't it? People,
you know what?
Smoke weed don't think weed's a bad
Everyone
drug.
always says it like it's the gateway drug. And like when you're young, like, well, for me, I used to smoke weed when I was younger, and like you never thought nothing bad of it. But the older I've got, the more I've realised weed can be quite bad on people's mental health and that as well.
It is definitely a creeper, because when I first started, I'd do like 1 or 2 spliffs a day, maybe 3. But towards the end of my using, I'm up to sort of like 8 to 12 spliffs a day.
Yeah,
a day. That's just not normal behaviour. That's gonna mess with your psyche, and then we'll throw in the copious amounts of cocaine on a daily basis as well. You imagine the state that my noodle was in, and then, as well as my noodle, my body was in. It was in pieces. Like, I thought any given moment I'm gonna die, and that's genuinely how it felt. Like, I'm laying in bed on a come down, and I got my son sleeping next door, bless his little socks, and then I got my partner there who's sleeping, and all my heart is just absolutely racing, and I feel like it's gonna shut down on me at any given point. But regardless of how I felt, because I suffer with this illness that still wants me to go and blast myself to pieces, I'll get a couple of hours sleeping, I'll wake up, well, you're not going to do that again, are you? Because it was so painful last night. By 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm on the phone to the drug dealer going, "Are you about again?" And it's just fucking game on, and it's a savage way to live. But I had no control over what I did. The minute I woke up, the first thing I do, lads, would go downstairs and I would roll up a spliff and then take one to work, smoke that, and then have another little creepy one like during work. But by this time, like I said, I've already phoned up the coke dealer, so I'm doing coke at work, and then before I know it, it's like 2-3 in the morning. I'm laying in bed and I'm feeling that pain in my chest, like I was saying, and I just couldn't stop. I just really couldn't stop.
So when did you get into this rut? When did you start realizing? How old was you? How old are you now?
I'm 37, soon to be 38.
So when did this all start?
Probably when I was 33, 34, where it really went lift off. Sadly, I lost a good friend of mine to suicide, and the only way I thought I could get rid of this pain and this anxiety and the suffering was to go and use drugs to mask it. But I'll only do a little bit. You know, I've been able to take coke, put it down, pick it up, put it down. I can do that quite often. But then there was this, I'll never forget it. It was like it was yesterday. You know, I've done 7 days worth of blasting myself to pieces to try and numb the pain of my friend's death. And there was something different about that 7 days. It's just like, well, you're going to stop. And I just never did for 3.5 years. Every single day.
It's like
it was just relentless. We're talking 1 or 2 tickets. We're talking like 5-6 tickets a day.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It is a massive problem, you know. And then sadly, I lost a relationship out of it. Like this young woman, bless her, she ended up leaving me. But with this illness, that's what it wants you to do. It wants you to be isolated. It wants you to be alone. It wants you to just be in that corner sniffing cocaine. So half of me's gone, fucking what a release, she's gone. The other half is me broken down. And then another half is going, right, we can just crack on and sniff this cocaine in peace.
You know what
I mean? In peace, because that's what it
reminds
wants you to
me
do.
of fucking Smeagol.
Yeah.
You watch Lord of the Rings?
No, I can't say I have.
Oh,
I'm so sorry, lads. I'm so sorry.
You know, it's
Lord of the Rings. He's kind of like a he gets this ring and he puts it on, and the power of the ring turns him. He can't be without the ring, and he knows it's wrong to take the ring because it's killing him. Like it turns him into like sort of an animal. He looks like an animal, and he looks in the water and he's like telling himself, no, we're fine. And then next minute he switches. He's like, no, you need the ring. It's sort of it's literally similar. Like you're just it sounds like you're battling with just your own brain 24/7.
You are, because like, it was pointed out to me. Look, the illness is me basically. It's in my head. It's telling me like I'm having a 2-way conversation with my head, and it's like. I can go, I'm not going to do it. And my head's going, you fucking are.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. And it'll talk to you and it'll take you around the houses. And before you know it, you're fucking doing it again. When you promise yourself when you go up, I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Let me start with your upbringing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, cool.
What was your kind of upbringing and stuff like? And when did you first kind of start using drugs? We'll go back from the beginning and kind of work through.
And if there's any Lutonians on there, hi. I was raised in Lucy Farm. It wasn't the most nicest of places to live, but it was a place to live nevertheless, and it was okay. You know what I mean? I had a mum and a stepdad that have always been there for me, but the first time I ever took a hit of anything, to be fair, was in Leighton Buzzard. And that was just a little. I'd done 2 drugs that day. I smoked a little bit of hash, the old little where you got to light it up and crumble it down. I'd done a bit of hash and sniff poppers. Quite enjoyed that. It was nice. But then we'll sort of fast forward a little while. One of my neighbours was smoking cannabis up in the street where my parents live at the top, and I'm watching him and a mate doing blowbacks, and I was like, that looks cool. Give us a bit of that. And I'll never forget the first lick I had. It sent me backwards. So I run home, laid on my bed. The room was spinning. I felt sick. I had to like stick a leg outside of the bed. I was in absolute bits. And I'll never forget. You like heard of Mystique?
Mystique,
the girl group Mystique.
Yeah.
They were playing on my TV, and I hated it. They were singing because I was just so distorted. I was like, what the fuck are these lot singing right now? I'll never forget. It was just an awful experience. But saying that, I woke up the next day. I goes, I fancy some more of that.
Yeah.
And I did it again, and it was the same sort of shitty experience. But I just kept going back for seconds and thirds and some fourths, and before I knew it, I was addicted to cannabis, and it didn't stop for 17, 18 years. And my parents, you know, I'll tell the complete and utter truth. I put my parents through like quite a bit of misery, especially my mum, because she was like, I don't want you smoking drugs. I'm like, I'll stop eventually, and I just never did. You know, I'm walking through the house just smelling like a cannabis factory. My dad used to go, you smell like a fucking dirty skunk, get out. Like, he hated it. He absolutely hated it. But regardless of them saying this stuff to me, I still did that stuff. I still did it. I still needed to have that in my system. I craved it. I woke up, I craved it. I fell asleep, and it was probably on my brain or what. You know, it was just. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love smoking cannabis. I've been to Amsterdam 9 times. I don't know if either of you lot have been to Amsterdam.
I've never been to Amsterdam.
It is an absolute. It's a blast out there. Absolute blast out there. Do you know what I mean? I've had some wicked times out there.
It's too much for me, man. I can't handle it. When I was younger, I could smoke it. But you know what it is for me? It's when I stopped smoking it. Once I stopped smoking it, like I used to dabble. I used to stop. I used to go back. I used to stop. And then when I stopped, I think I stopped for like near enough a year. Ever since then, I just can't smoke it the same. Like I'd have like a couple burns and I get real I never used to get paranoid. Now I get really like, if I smoke too much or it's like haze, I start tripping out on that, man. I start bugging out and like, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's really uncomfortable high. Like it's not a nice high. When I was younger, smoking loads of it,
you thought it'd be funny.
Yeah,
it'd
be funny. But now I just view it and I don't mind a couple burns here and there, but now it's just not the same, man.
See, I've done all that, like having the good times, going around to my mate who lives like just around the corner here in Hatton Regis, like Friday nights, going around to his jamming, drinking, playing a bit of Call of Duty, playing some FIFA, just having a nice Friday night evening, smoking a couple of spliffs. Lovely. But then, like I said, if we're going to fast forward to the end of my using it, it was not like that. The drugs didn't even take effect. There was just nothing to it. I was just doing it solely because it was a bad habit. And it's...
We form habits though, man.
We do. But when it comes to, from what I've found out, to drug addiction or addiction in general, it's a threefold illness. It's what I've come to learn when I got into recovery. It's physical, it's mental, and it's spiritual. Like, so the minute I wake up and I put anything in me, I'm going to get what they call... It's called the phenomenon of craving. It's a scientific like fact. It's been proven. So once something's in me, I'm never going to shake that thought out of my head until I get the next blast or the next hit of whatever it's got to go into my system. It's just game on, and you can't do it. But the only way you can overcome this addiction, and I'm very, very grateful. I make no bones about it. I believe in God thanks to this program, because it's a 12-step spiritual program that got me connected to God. It allowed my soul to waken up, because I dented my soul so much. It was in such disarray. But I woke up going through this program.
No, I've tightened it up.
Are we all good?
Yeah,
good?
Yeah, no, you sound.
I better get used to this, because like I said to you guys prior to coming on here, I've got to speak to quite a few people in a big hall in a few weeks.
You sound, I turned your volume up, so it should pick you up from anywhere over there.
Yeah, where was I going with this?
The 12-step program.
The 12-step program. Yeah, it's like the third part of it is it's spiritual. So the only way I'm going to overcome my addiction and recover from it is if I get connected to a power greater than myself. And I can't tell you what this book is, because it's an anonymous program that I attend, so I can't spout out the name of it. But it's this thing called personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, television.
Well, if people, what we can do, if people watching it and they have got problems and they want to search a bit deeper, we're like have links or something where they can go.
By all means, I can. You know
what I mean? We can link up the place where you're at or whatever.
But waking up my spirit or my soul, even. I didn't realise how much I like drugs. Like like I said to you, I use primarily that cocaine to hide the effects of a friend dying, and through all of that, like I'm pushing every emotion, every feeling, every idea to the bottom of my body, like just pushing it down, so I don't feel any of that crap.
So you're numbing the pain.
Yeah, completely and utterly. But when you go and work through this 12-step program, and it's called. The 12th step is having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. And I most definitely, by that point, had woken my spirit up. You know, there's parts of these 12 steps where you just slowly but surely start rising up from the ashes. And it was amazing, because I woke up, I told you earlier, I woke up obsessing about a drink and drug. I no longer obsess about a drink and a drug. For me, that's like miracle number one. Like, when you wake up, it's just there daily. Now I don't even crave nothing. I don't even think about nothing. The obsession to drink and use has been well removed, and it's never returned.
So do you have
over 3 years.
Like a ritual when you wake up then?
Yes, I do.
You like give thanks and
I do. The first thing I do when I wake up is I generally, there's a few things. I either meditate, I either pray, and I also write out a gratitude list, 10 things that I'm grateful for on a daily basis. Like they've all got to be incorporated into my morning routine. So I don't get up and flick the kettle on and go and chill out and watch Sky Sports News.
No,
I
you're
get
doing
up and I
something
get
positive.
up. I get up and I get myself connected, and I have to, because if I don't do this stuff on a daily basis, I'm probably like to just sit there in neutral, and eventually, if it stays in neutral, I'm probably going to stick it in reverse and then go back out the door and start drinking and using again. But from what I've heard of people who've gone back out and started drinking and using again after being through this program, it doesn't get any better. It just gets a whole heap worse, because it's a progressive illness, and it'll take you back within maybe a couple of days, a week, or a month. It'll take you back to exactly where you were when you got into recovery.
Yeah,
And I don't fancy that again, because it was nasty. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was
and you're
bitter.
probably seeing the benefits of living a lifestyle. Like, I think a lot of people could do that, whether you, even if you're not suffering from drink or drugs.
You know, it's funny you should say that, because this program will take anybody on board if they're suffering with something, an addiction. It's not just for drink and drugs. It's for the disease of addiction. Now, it's got the drink and the drugs are like a byproduct. I suffer with an illness. You know, I thought I had a drink and drug problem. No, I suffer with the disease of addiction.
Yeah, something deeper.
Yeah, it's much deeper than that. You know.
It's life.
Yeah.
A
Definitely.
lot, and we all suffer. Like we were saying the other day, we all suffer with things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people suffer more than others. Some people don't show it. Some people do. Some people are open about it. Some people ain't.
Yeah.
Was your friends there a lot for you? Did they?
Whilst
Could they
I was
see
using
it?
or
Or
after it? Oh yeah. Oh, my friends definitely.
could they see it? Yeah.
Definitely so, because from the lad who, like I said, about the Friday nights chilling around the mate's house to doing the odd little bit, to me no longer going out for dinners and drinks and all that with him, because I needed the money to just sit indoors and sniff copious amounts of cocaine.
And what, you just doing it by yourself, alone? Yeah.
In the kitchen, you know, sending my ex to bed early with her iPad so she can just lay there whilst I'm downstairs. This is how sad it got. I used to stick the PlayStation on, put it into a game of Call of Duty so there's loads of noise. Yeah, she'd think I'm playing it, but I'm in the kitchen sniffing.
Fucking, that's when you know.
That's some naughty behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
So when did you actually know, like, obviously, because we touched on when you started smoking weed and that, when did you actually think, I've actually got an addiction here to something? Like, how long after was that?
I knew I was addicted to weed fairly on into my weed journey, but the cocaine bit, it was probably about a year and a bit into my everyday using. I was sniffing off the counter, and I went, "You're a coke addict."
So how old was you here? Sorry.
Well, I mean, cool. Let me reverse time a little bit. I'm 3 years clean and sober. So what would I have been when I walked in? 35. So maybe about 34-ish.
Yeah.
I knew. I said, "What? You're a cokehead." Like, you know, when you hear people say, "Who's a cokehead?" I am a cokehead. 100%.
When it reality.
It was like
hit you.
Yeah, it was like, I'm done. But at that moment, I said that. That's the part of the program is where you got to fully concede to your innermost self that you are done. And as much as it took me a good year and a bit to get into recovery, I was done at that moment. So when I came in here and I was told certain things to do, I jumped through hoops to do that.
Because you already knew within yourself
that I was done. I was cooked.
Yeah, you're done.
It just...
You've had your time.
Like, there's this sort of... I don't know how to describe it. It's not a saying, but I had to be so broken. Like, God had to break me so much for me to then wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people go through something like that. Even because we spoke about it before, even with like dieting or something like that. It's one day you're not doing it, and something clicks that's different. It feels different to the other times. Obviously, yours is on a completely different scale.
I feel like you can go two ways with it as well. Like you can get broken and get worse, or you can get broken and view it as a positive.
If you're going to get worse, you're probably looking at death. You're probably looking at death.
The next step below that, would have been
because you obviously look how much you learn from being broken. I feel like the hardships in your life is the best time where you learn the most.
Yeah, most
so when
definitely.
something goes wrong or something's happened that's bad, like sometimes you get people like you said yourself, like that you can wile out, you can go to the drinking, or you can become like some other people where they learn from it. Instead of whiling out, they're like, no, actually, I can get better by doing this. I can use that as a clutch to get better. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Have I made sense?
It does.
Yeah,
It's funny you should say that, though, because
It all correlates.
in this book, though, it does say, I thought, when I told my friends that I had the problem, December the 31st, 2018, it was like the evening before New Year's Eve. Like, I confessed, I sat up in my son's bed of all places having a come down. He wasn't there at the time, he was at his mum's. But my ex-partner was sleeping in our bed, and I had a come down. I said, "You need to come in here." I said, I got this courage out of nowhere, and I said, "I'm a cokehead. I've been sniffing for like 2 and a bit years, don't know what to do." And she looked at me like, Like, you want to repeat yourself? And I was like, I've been sniffing coke every day. So I told her, like, and do you know the worst and the funny bit about it was half my body went, well done you for telling her. That is magnificent. And the other half went, you cunt, you're never going to be able to sniff coke ever again now. Do you realise what you've just done to me?
Yeah, it's like
it's a weird
fucking hell.
it was a weird feeling.
But that's where they've had them pictures forward, like the devil and
Literally like that. Yeah, well done, you cunt. Excuse me, I don't know if I can swear on here, but
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah. How bad did your actual body and stuff feel? Could you over the years could you gradually feel your body just like shutting down?
It was disgusting. The pain, like when I used to look down at myself in the shower, my hands were like basically blue, because obviously you do that much cocaine, your body, like your vessels and everything are just gonna start shutting off.
Yeah.
My heart, man, that was probably as much as my head and everything was like spannered, and awash. My physical well-being was, it felt like the lights were going to be turned off very soon had I not done something about it. But I'm very fortunate that God had a greater plan for me. He goes, right, come on, son, it's time for you to stop fucking about. I've got a plan for you.
So what happened once you told your missus?
Let's get back to that.
That story.
We went to bed and I made this solemn vow. You could have stuck a lie detector on me that night. I'm never going to do coke again. I'm never going to do it again. Rah. Yeah. And I meant it. I genuinely meant it. Yeah. I went over and told my best mate, because he lived in the same street as us. And they were like, what have you just sort of said as well? Like, they couldn't compute it. Like,
so no one actually really, the closest people to you didn't know you were doing
they
it?
knew I had a bit of a drug habit. Do you know what? Funny you say, he's just popped back up. One of my very good friends was almost going to do an intervention with me, because he could see, like, he's sniffed a little bit, so he knows what the similarities are. So if I went out, I'd always have to have it. Like I said, you know, that's if I went out. And he almost done an intervention where, you know, I would have got home one day and like he would have been there with my missus and my family and all that and saying, right, you need to stop and get help. But
Yeah.
I keep wondering why he never did, because I might have got in recovery a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. My journey's my journey, you know. But
yeah. Maybe you needed that extra time.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Like, looking back, I definitely did. Even though I was broken then, I needed a little bit more breaking, you know, to that point. Told them, I'm going to get help. And now bear in mind, it's New Year's Eve. I had Garage Nation in Luton Town Centre, and I memorised the drug dealer's number, although I deleted the number like that day. I still remembered it. And this is how easy it is for me to get back on it. One of my mates who's a garage MC was MCing that night. He phoned me up, goes, can you bring me a packet? And I was like, of all the days for you to bloody ask me, I've just confessed that I'm a raging cokehead. He goes, well, that's your problem. Can you bring it? And I was like, and he goes, and I goes, all right then.
Yeah.
Just like that. I got back in the game within hours. So I'm going to Garage Nation. She's thinking I'm going to stop and I'm going to go and get help. And
So she going mad at you then when you tell her,
No, bless her, she didn't.
I'm going Garage Nation?
No, to be fair, she came with me.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm actually going to say this. Like, she smuggled my weed in for me.
Yeah. Do you feel like? Do you feel like
smuggled my weed in?
But do you feel like from like the outside, because you're quite a bubbly person, you get on
And
with
now,
people.
trust me, I won't, do you know what I mean?
Do you reckon you were good at hiding it though?
Yeah, we are addicts are master manipulators.
Yeah, like
huge manipulators.
Even
mate.
though people knew you'd done it and dabbled at it and probably had a little bit of a problem, but they probably didn't know how much of a problem.
Yeah, exactly
it was.
that. Yeah, they.
Well, like you said, you were putting on COD and fucking
pretending to play COD.
Because some people are oblivious to it, innit?
Yeah.
If they don't.
Yeah,
if they
no,
don't-
it's true.
You can be good at hiding it.
Yeah, and like the day after, that Garage Nation, or a couple of days after, I did go to look and get help. And this is how bad my illness is. Yeah, it's not me again. Like, it was my illness. I went to a place in Dunstable, like this, not a rehab place, it's like a walk-in drug centre place. And she sort of dropped me off at the entrance, and I'm walking up the steps, and I'm sort of looking back. She ducked up the street a little bit, and I fucked off round the corner. Didn't even go in, and then give it 10 minutes later, I phoned her up saying, they can't see me today.
It's funny you say like it's an illness, yeah, like because I read a book before called like the Chimp Paradox. I don't know if you heard of it, but basically what they talk about is we've got two brains. We've got our like brain that's come from nature, like our nature instinct brain. So they call that the chimp, and then we've got our human being. Our human being's more looks for the right things to do, whether that's right or wrong. Where the chimp, if if the ego gets hurt, the chimp comes out and wiles out. If you say something, and you know when you bite at someone, it's not, and then you realise after, you're like, oh, actually, I shouldn't have said that. That's your human coming.
I've had a recent experience of that.
Yeah,
Someone's head off the other day, and it's like, oh, why have you done that? But I'm a human at the end of the day. I'm fallible to make mistakes.
But this is what I'm saying.
You know what
I feel like this is what I was saying, like on the pod before. I feel like we're all mentally ill. We all like suffer in that sort of way. We're always battling one another. Like, say, for instance, like mine, because I eat so well, mine always be like, oh, should I have a dessert? And then one person be like, yeah. The other one be like, no. I know it's not even
where you're coming from.
It's not even on your level, but it's like it's still
your own
like,
battle in your own head.
You're having a battle, and I do that a lot with food. I'm just like there, and I'm like, what am I doing?
We've all got our own battles.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. We've all got a battle, and it's like it's funny how everything correlates. Like the human body is just complex. The human body and mind is very. It
is a complex. It is a complex thing. Like since the 3 years that I've been in, I've tried to learn as much about the mind as I possibly can to understand how I tick as a human being. And like one thing we are told is not to do other people's thinking, because it's very easy as a human to do somebody else's thinking. What are they thinking about? And it's probably nothing. What they're thinking about, like what I'm thinking about that person, is probably nothing.
Yeah.
Like what they're thinking.
That is impossible, isn't it?
It is impossible to do somebody else's thinking, but we still do it as a human. And I'm very fortunate. Like you get told this stuff, stop doing other people's thinking, because it is a dangerous place to live.
Yeah.
It will chew you up, thinking, what did he really think about me? Right now, personally, I mean this in a nice way. I couldn't care what you two think about me, because I've reached this level of freedom where, as long as I'm okay with myself, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, you're at that. You're content.
You know,
like nothing can affect you. But this is what I say with like we were talking about before at gym. We were saying about social media, how it's bad now. Like especially for like I was saying, like the suicide rate for little girls and stuff like that. Because like, I feel like because we're like social beings and that. Like, I remember back in the day, like we would have only been in a little tribe. You might have only known 30 people, 40 people. Now we're all on social media. We know thousands of people, which we don't know. Now we take criticisms from thousands of people, like
who you're never going to see.
Who you don't even know
what they look like or what they're going through, because they're sitting behind a computer.
And I feel like as a human, we're not programmed for that.
No, we're not. We never have been, because we didn't have it many years ago, did we?
Yeah.
So it's all new to us. Yeah. It's like what they call alien.
Yeah, it is. I don't think we'll ever adapt to technology. I feel like technology just moves way too quick.
Maybe someone of my son's age might, because that's all he's ever known is to grow up with a mobile phone, with an iPad, with a PlayStation, with a nice smart TV. I never had that. I remember my first mobile phone, I had to pull down the front bit, pull up the aerial. Like none of this smartphone business. I mean, I'm putting my own ringtone.
And it's mad because you don't even see, like around here it's different because it's on like an estate, but back in the day, it would be like you couldn't even ring your friends to go around the house. You'd just walk to their house, knock on the door. Their mum would be like, "Oh, he's not in," and you'd walk back home. And now it's like I don't even see kids out anymore. No Kirby, no this, no that, and it is unhealthy for their brains.
Sod Kirby, man. I used to love Knock Down Ginger, because that was about my levels. Knock on someone's door and then sod off, because I was a little git.
That was the best game, man.
But kids don't do that. No, they genuinely do not do that nowadays.
No, it's different. They'll all be playing.
You just see kids walk down the road with their friends and they're all on their phone. Like it's mental, man.
I do kind of stress at my son sometimes that you're probably on your phone a little bit too much, but I may be at fault for that because I gave him the phone.
Yeah.
You know, he's 12 years of age.
What was your relationship like with him when this was all going on then?
I do feel sorry for my son, I'll be honest with you. It's just made me have goosebumps, because my son's a planned child. Myself and his mum wanted our son. And this, when he came along, it was like one of the best things that had ever happened to me. Like getting to hold my son for the first time, looking at him, telling him he looked like my dad, because those were my first words to my son. So like, you look like my dad. So I definitely knew he was mine. Definitely knew he was mine. And everyone still says it today. I showed one of my work colleagues a picture of my son, and she goes, "Well, he's definitely yours." I'm like, yeah, everyone says the same thing. But I'll be honest with you, the day my son was born, I was outside the L&D hospital whilst his mum's pushing. I'm smoking weed. That's how messed up I am. Like, not that I'm not concerned for her pushing out our son, but
the drugs
just make me go outside. I'll never forget, I'm sitting in this little alley and this security guard's come along and going, "Can you move off?" My thought is like not to put it out or anything. It is literally go and move off and smoke it somewhere else. And then when my son was born, I think I spent probably a maximum of about 4 hours when he was first born, waited for my mum to come up to see him and kind of let her take over the reins. Bear in mind, to be fair, it was like a 36-hour labour with my son, so I was pretty shattered at this point. But my head was like, you need to go home, you need to top up on your weed, you know what I mean? Go and get some more weed in your son, like, you deserve it.
Yeah.
You deserve a little
That's
treat.
what. Yeah, but we do
I
that.
know, yeah.
We do that. Like we just do that as humans, isn't it? If we've had a good day or a bad day, you're like, nah, you deserve it.
Yeah, you make an excuse
yourself.
to why you should have it.
Yeah.
But it is mad because it is illness.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Definitely.
It's like there's no other way around it.
And I went home, had a bit of weed, went to sleep, woke up, and I went back. And for like the 9 years until I got into recovery, I smoked practically every day. You know, myself and his mum split up. I've been fortunate; she never stopped me having access to our son. But whenever he came round, he had a constant stoned father, and then towards the end, he had a constant stoned and coked up father. And I just would leave him with my ex-partner. I'd head down the pub, or when I had to move back home to my parents for a little while, they'd look after him. It was like any excuse for me to go out and get bolted. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't really sort of give him that full love, care and attention that a parent is designed to do for their child. Like, it's a bit sad, but again, through working a part of this program, there's an amends process which you take, like you go around and you ask for forgiveness. Obviously, I can't go up to my son and say, do you forgive me? Because he wouldn't have a freaking clue at the age of like 9 what I'm asking for forgiveness for. But the best thing for me to do now is to wholeheartedly be there for that kid, to give him as much physical love as I possibly can, much emotional love as I possibly can. And I love doing that for him. Like, I've just had him for the weekend. I've been able to take him to Watford to do some crazy golf at the putt shack. We went for a Nando's lunch and I bought him another set of trainers, and we came home, chilled out, watched Arsenal, and had a lovely evening. Sunday, woke up, took him to Leighton Buzzard, went and played football, let him run around for a little bit, took him for a Pizza Express, came home, watched some football, and then took him back to his mum's. Stuff that I couldn't have done with him over 3 years ago. Like, sadly, I had to let him go out and play in the garden or on the field beside the house all by himself. He'd say, Daddy, can you come out? I could spare him about 5-10 minutes before I had to go back in and crack on again.
Yeah.
But half of me is bleeding inside going, stay out, man. That's your son. And the other half, like the devil's going, got plans.
Yeah.
We got plans. So get back in there.
It's mad because an illness like that has an effect on so many other people than yourself as well.
yeah.
Like
It's selfish.
your parents, your missus, your kid. Like
You mentioned a key word, selfish. Again, one of the steps in here, it's funny, all these words keep popping up, but there's a step 4 where it says we write a fearless, I should know these steps, I've left it on the page, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves.
in football, the greats are separated by their elite ball skills, and now you can put the ball in football great by using Manscaped. This year, let Kane be the only one that's Harry, and use Manscaped top-of-the-line grooming products that will keep you smooth in your midfield. Man City may have won the cup, but your Man City will be the champions this year when you go to manscaped.com and enter code Fijian for 20% off plus free delivery on your order. This package stars their redesigned electric trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is simply the best hygiene tool to help you keep the grass on the pitch the perfect length. The Lawnmower 4.0 ceramic blades reduce nicks and cuts in your most sensitive regions. Get 20% off and free delivery with code Fijian at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free delivery at manscaped.com and use code Fijian. Celebrate a new season of the beautiful game with your newly beautiful balls.
So that step there is, I went around writing everyone that I'd ever resented, like people that had sort of harmed me through my using, or people that I had harmed through my using. And at the back of this book, you write down the 7 areas of self, yeah, and one of them selfish. One of my defects is selfish and self-centeredness. Now that is the root of my illness. I'm a selfish, self-centered person.
Yeah.
Extremely selfish and self-centered. You know, I didn't know that until I went through this program. And then when you write down your defects and you're constantly seeing selfish, self-centered, selfish, self-centered.
It's very good. It's like, it reminds me like law of attraction. Like you're getting to know yourself. You're understanding you, and I feel like that's what I was saying. It's mad because I was saying this last week. Like I've got a journal that I write down in every day, just little things what my day is going through. Because I feel like when you look back on your history, like that, I can't remember the saying that your history determines your future. So like you'll be able to look back on what things you were going through. Oh, this day you were going through such a bad day, or you had this problem. How did you deal with this problem? Like, and that's what I feel like when you write things down, you really get to understand yourself and you can see.
Definitely.
I think it's the only way of taking yourself out of yourself and looking at it from another perspective.
I had to do that.
100%.
I had to do that. You know, take yourself out of self. 100%. You've got to do that sometimes. Like, I didn't realise the devastation that I was causing behind me with using. Like I said, I was in a relationship to a lovely young lady for 5.5 years, obviously using behind her back all the time. I did not know what devastation I was causing to her until she upped and left. To my mum, like I said, to even my son's mum. Like obviously I was using when we were together. My friends and my family.
When she left you, did that make things worse?
Yeah, it did.
Your son's mum.
No, do you know what? Because of that, when my son's mum left me,
Or was it more like peace?
I was using drugs at that point, so I could get over it pretty quickly. So I've had 2 relationships, like 2 long terms. One with my son's mum, and one with the young lady that left me when I got into recovery.
Yeah.
When my son's mum upped and left me, it hurt me because she's walking out with my son. But I've now got a 2-bed house. I'm smoking weed. I can go out. I can do what I want. I can get over it. But when this second young lady upped and left me, I was in a really, really bad place. And the only option for me then was to actually go and get the help. Because that was like the massive wake-up call that I fucking needed. Because there was a difference with using when my son's mum left. Because I wasn't a raging cocaine addict. I was a raging weed head. And that I can manage that.
Yeah,
I can manage that. And I was using gear every now and then.
But it's
But then, we're going to fast forward, you know, until when I got into this next relationship a few years later. Like I said, my using just went fucking through the roof, man. Absolutely through the roof. And
So
she had every right to leave me. I cannot blame that girl. I cannot blame her, you know. And I'm very grateful for her for leaving me because it's what I needed.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think sometimes with people, how do I explain it? Like when someone has a problem, like for instance, say if Rain had a problem and you know you're there for him and you're there for him and you almost get to the stage where you're like, I can't do it no more, but I feel bad. I'll feel bad if I leave him, but they're not changing. Do you think sometimes it's best for the person to just sometimes go wipe their hands?
It probably is. As much as it will sting and it will hurt, but pain is temporary.
I you know what you just said. I was thinking about today at work. Like 100%. I feel like it comes to a point where like they have to fight. You know what it is? You know. They have to find themselves. Like you can say so much to a person and help them as much as you can. They're the only ones that are going to do it for themselves, and they've got to find out.
See, with this program, it's designed to get you connected to a power greater than yourselves. Any sort of power, as long as it's not your son, your missus, your cat, your dog, or your mum, your dad. Do you know what I mean? It's just got to be a power greater than yourself. So I'd look at my ex and go, why the fuck can't I stop for her? Why can't I stop for my son? Why can't I stop for my parents? But they don't have enough sufficient power.
And it's crazy as well if you think about it. What you're saying.
I love my son to pieces. I absolutely love him to pieces, but I still cannot stop using for the love of my son. And I want to. I dearly want to. I really wanted to. Like, I'm looking at him going, I'm so sorry. This is how bad it was. I'd send him into the bath, yeah, and I'd go into his bedroom, get one of his match attach cards, roll it up into a hooter, and do a line of coke off his fucking sideboard. Because it's the only place I can use gear, because she's downstairs. If she'd come up, she'd probably catch me in the bedroom. So I have to do it in his bedroom with the door closed, knowing that he's in the bath having a wash. It's sordid, isn't it?
Mad.
It's sordid.
Yeah.
Not proud of my actions, not one bit, but that's what this illness will do. It just leads you down a path. It's horrible.
Was you spiritual or anything beforehand?
Nope.
Not at all.
Not at all. No.
Just when you got into the program.
Yeah. But because I was dying, and I mean genuinely was dying, if someone says, I want you to run around Dunstable Town Centre with a little dicky bow on, naked up and down the high street, and it'll save your life, I fucking would have done it.
Yeah.
I jumped through hoops to get where I am today. And I still will jump through some hoops to keep on staying clean and sober. because I don't want to go back out there. I don't want to test the waters.
I don't think there's no point. It's not even worth it.
It's not even worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
I think I said to you lot prior, like, I've heard people who go back out the door and they never come in going, I had a wicked time again. It was fantastic. I loved it.
No, you'll go back to the same place and you'll be like, fuck's sake. And then you're back.
Probably be more annoyed because
you're
you'll
in
be
a
like,
hole.
why have I done that? I just went 3
And
years
then
without doing it.
by being more annoyed, it can go two ways. Because you're annoyed now, you might be like, oh no, I'm just going to do something because I'm annoyed. And then next thing you know,
probably would.
You'll keep saying, oh, I'm annoyed. Now you just, it's a horrible trap, man.
But what I've also heard is recovery ruins your using, because if you've managed to get yourself a good amount of clean time and then you go back out the door and you're going, fuck, I was clean, but then I'm still using. I'm clean. I was clean and I'm using. It just messes up with your complete and utter psyche, I've heard.
Oh yeah.
I can imagine.
Well, what you're doing right now is just like, that ritual is just that help anyone to success. Any success you desire, you follow them steps, you can achieve it.
100%.
Because that you can achieve anything with them steps, and you don't have to be a recovering addict or anything. Even if you want to just successful life or get somewhere or go somewhere, them steps there will help you.
These particular 12 steps that are contained within this book, there's 200 anonymous fellowships that use a 12-step spiritual program. Like, that's mad. There's 200 odd fellowships about various different things. Some for like love, sex, relationship, gambling. What else can I think off the top? Obviously, drugs, drink. There's so many things that these 12 steps can help people with.
I feel like just for everything, innit?
Yeah.
Have you kind of taken these steps out and used it to something else, like, or subconsciously been using it to other things like businesses or anything like that, or with your work or anything?
No, but what I have to do is maintain these steps on a daily basis to stay where I'm at as a human. Like, the first step within this program is we were powerless. And I have to remember that I was powerless once upon a time. Like, I had absolutely zero power within me. Now I've got a power. Like I said, I call it, it's God, for me. Great, because I didn't believe in God. Like, I used to cuss the granny off God. Like, how could you allow me to sniff this much coke? How could you allow me to... But things happen when you go through this program and you get woken up, and things happen for a reason in God's world. I don't know if you lot believe that.
I believe in energy. So it's the same thing, but mine wouldn't be a God.
He puts people into your path for a reason. He takes people out your path for a reason.
Yeah. I can see, like, I'm not like a religious person, but I think I believe in energies. You know what I mean? As social beings, we, like you said, but
I get all that now. Like, when someone says I feed off people's vibe or energies, I get that, because I like to feed off people's vibe. Now, before I would have just got in a relationship for the sake of getting them in a relationship because it feels fucking comfortable. But now I look for red flags. I look for, if someone's like does something that I don't like, what's the point in keeping them? Because it's only going to chew me up even more.
You're looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, you do. I do look at the bigger picture.
You're looking more deep into things, whereas before you were probably just jumping into things and then realising. Lucky I learned from other people's mistakes. Yeah. And
but the one thing you can do is learn from your own mistakes.
Yeah.
So I was told a great quote the other month. If you're going to make a mistake, make a new one.
Yeah.
Because we are going to make mistakes. Like, I make mistakes on a weekly basis. As long as I don't keep making the same stupid mistake, and where am I going to learn from it? Because I clearly haven't. But if I'm going to make a mistake, make a new one and learn something from it. It's all about, as humans, we've got to progress. There's no point in just standing still, because we ain't going to get nowhere. Are we?
I like to say we're apprentice to life.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
We're apprentice to life. You know what I mean?
That's nice.
I just made it.
Oh, you should keep that, trademark that, and it's yours.
I feel like we are, because like we're always learning. That's what I say to people. Like, you can never stop learning. Like, my boss used to tell me at work, like, you can learn a new thing every day. You'll never know it all. And like you said, you're gonna go through your own hardships, so you're gonna have to find your own way out. So like, yeah, we're apprentices to life.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
what would you say for anyone maybe watching that they're kind of in limbo about if they think they have an addiction or don't, or the kind of key signs of telling you might be going down that path?
It's probably more, if they want to know whether they're an addict or not, it's to stop doing that certain thing that they're like thinking about. Whether it's, are you addicted to like being on social media a lot? Like, put it down, see how long you can last. But if you're obsessing about it, you probably are an addict. Like if you're on drink and drugs, try and put it down for a few days. But if you're obsessing about it and you can't even manage a few hours, you're probably an alcoholic addict.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just the obsessive nature of being an addict. If you keep thinking and thinking and thinking, you probably are an addict. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's a cunning and baffling, powerful illness. It will take you on literally around the houses. It will make you think you're not ill, and before you know it, it's got you.
Yeah.
It does that.
And that, it is like with weed, like when you talk about weed, like for instance, when your kid was being born and you went out and smoked a zoo, people would watch and be like, "Oh, that's not that bad. It's just weed."
Yeah, but my son's being, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
my son,
that's
my flesh
what
and
I
blood's
mean,
being
yeah.
pushed out, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
there's a
still
lot of
can't.
people that smoke weed, but it is, if you actually deep it,
It is mad. It's
yeah,
fucked.
it is.
Like it is bad.
I can't obviously go say too much, but I can say this. Obviously, I've been around meetings a lot, and I've heard people they're smoking crack pipes and doing like needles of heroin in the hospital whilst their kids have been. I thought I was bad. It is bad enough doing weed, but then I'm hearing other people's stories. They're going, they're taking crack pipes into the hospital with them. They're taking needles in and they're doing heroin.
Yeah.
Whilst their
It's
kids have
weird
been
'cause
born. Trust me, I have heard it. All
Yeah,
in
weed's a
recovery.
hard one though, because it's so like, there's so many people that smoke weed, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not
It gets normal.
Yeah,
it is normal.
It is a bit more normal, isn't it?
You know where I work in Hatton Regis, in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
barber
yeah.
shop. On a daily basis, someone will just blatantly walk past with a bifter hanging out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Years ago, it was like, I can't, you wouldn't dare
frowned
smoke it.
upon,
Yeah,
yeah.
you wouldn't dare smoke it. But now it's just, oh, that stinks and that's it.
Yeah, it's a lot
quite
more
sort of
people,
scary.
It's just normal, isn't
But
it?
that's what they say about, like, obviously, like you were just touching on that. You've heard loads of problems of that. Like, you wouldn't trade your own problems with someone else's.
Absolutely no chance.
Like, because someone's always going through a worse time than someone else, and that's why for anyone watching or anything, if you're going through a hard time, you should always try to speak to someone.
Most definitely.
Even
And
if
seek
it's-
the help that
yeah.
you so need.
Because sometimes it's not even like family and stuff's fault, because they might not, they've probably never been through stuff like that, so they won't know how to help you. You
And
know
I
what
feel
mean?
like some people are not good at understanding other people. Like some people have not got the patience.
I guarantee, it's funny you should say that, because I guarantee someone's going to judge me looking at this podcast going, fucking, he's a bit of a wrong one, wasn't he? Fucking doing all that weed and that drugs around his fucking, why can't he just fucking stop? I couldn't.
Yeah, but that's like, that might, well, so let's say like one of my mates, he got a little bit bad, but he overcome it he owned it. I'm the problem. Mm-hmm. I've got the problem. I have to control my problem. Got over it, controlled his problem. Like, it's not that. I just feel like it's life. Like, we all suffer with things as well. So anyone that judges other people, you're probably suffering with something. Like,
100%.
how can you judge
100%.
someone? It's like, it makes me laugh when people say like you said, I'm like you. Like, I know me. I'm content with me. I know what I suffer with. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I know what I have to get better at. So someone saying, you're not going to bother me. Especially someone random. Maybe him. Because he's just going to annoy me because he's my brother. Like, it's someone a bit
Bubbly
more...
love.
Yeah, it's a bit more closer. He's going to know how to, like, test me. But anyone else, like, judge me, man. Like, great. Like, I'm here to get better.
Yeah.
Like you said, though, if they're judging you, they've probably got a ton of stuff going on back at home. 100%.
You, for any person to judge
Deflection
another,
method.
that's what I hate. I
Deflection
really hate
method.
that about people as well. When someone just judges someone straight away or says something straight away. Don't get to, we've all done it. But that's like I said, that the saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
100%.
Because you literally just don't know.
100%.
Even if you're just not judging, or you think that guy's a dick or something, and you end up meeting him, you're like, I don't know what everyone was saying about you.
Yeah,
This guy's
exactly.
actually alright.
How many times have you heard that in your life?
Loads of times, because sometimes people just are so quick to like bite. Or like, oh no, just I don't like the way you look, so I'm gonna bite. Oh, I don't like the way of that title, so I'm gonna read it wrong and say.
I used to be
how
a
it
hugely
is.
jealous person before I got into recovery. I was hugely jealous because I'm jealous that he drove, he had this house, she's got that, she's got this, he's got that. Hugely jealous. Like, but now, why do I actually need to get jealous? I've got what I want, which is peace of mind, clarity of mind. I can think for myself. That's for starters. Before, I couldn't think for myself. I genuinely couldn't think for myself. I almost had to be sort of babied by my ex-missus, you know what I mean? Like, wait for her to come in and do all the food. Not that I couldn't cook, but just couldn't look after myself.
Yeah. Just in like limbo.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Just couldn't look after myself. But now, I'm a fully self-sufficient fucking adult. Like, I was most definitely a child when I walked into recovery. Most definitely a child. Even my mental state up here was like that of fucking a 1-year-old.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You just
Have you had to? Oh, sorry.
On himself.
Have you had to distance yourself from certain friends and stuff like that?
I get asked that question a hell of a lot, and no, I haven't.
No.
All I've really probably had to do is knock going on like that on the pub on the head. Not that, like, I could walk into the pub. I'm a free man today. I could walk into a pub and not even be put off once by everyone drinking and doing their behaviours. Like, it just wouldn't bother me. But what's the point of me going to a pub now? I don't drink.
Because you still do go out as well.
I love still going out for a good rave. I absolutely love it. Like, we have conversations.
You
I'll
can
go
control
out.
it.
I'm going out this Sunday to a drum and bass rave.
That's the difference between you've got it under control. You're actually a man that's got it
listen,
under
I'm
control.
going to tell you, I have not got nothing under control.
No?
Again, it's God.
Yeah.
God's taken the reins of Paul's life, because look at my life. When Paul controlled it, it was a mess.
Yeah,
it was a mess.
Your greater being's got you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
He's got me. Like, Paul's life
good,
run
that's
on
good, that
Paul's
is.
life run on self-will is just an absolute shambles. It's an absolute mess. It just doesn't end well.
How long did it take you to get to that stage though, where you felt comfortable with just like, oh, I can go out?
Well, because I'd done this program, you know, when I said I'd do absolutely anything, I'd jump through hoops for this program. Within 10 days of me fully conceding to this program and taking on board absolutely everything that was done, within 10 days, the obsession to drink and use was removed. Considering it was there for 17, 18 years on a minute-by-minute basis, it was removed within 10 days because I earnestly sought my higher power to come down and help me out. And then I think it was not long after that. I think after about 3 months, I went to a Garage Nation do, and I knew something had changed in me, because I'm standing on the stairs behind the stage, because I'm fortunate I get to go like backstage and stuff. I stand on the stage watching everyone, and my head went, wouldn't it be nice to do it? And it didn't even get, I know it was going to say pill, but it didn't even get to finish the pill bit. It was just like that thought was gone. It's like, bang, this shit works, man. This shit works. And then I think after 6 months of being in recovery, I took myself off to Ibiza. Everyone was going, are you sure you should be going to Ibiza? I can go where the heck I want now. I can do what I want, when I want, where I want, and not have to worry about picking up a drink or a drug. It's unreal.
Yeah, you can see it in yourself when you speak about it as well. Like, you can see the confidence.
Yeah.
Like, I can go and I won't be tempted.
That is contingent on me, like I said, getting up every single morning and doing this morning routine that was outlined to me. I have to do it without fail.
Steps.
And I love
like
doing
the
it. I loved
pillars.
getting up every morning and getting on my hands and knees and praying to God.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not
getting
gonna lie.
connected.
That it's such a positive start to your day. You've set yourself up.
Yeah. And then
The
got like my
setups.
meditation just helps chill me out a little bit. And then I write my gratitude list
It's
out.
nothing. There's nothing.
And no, and as long as it's made your life better and it keeps you on the path to being a good person and better in yourself, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
So 20 minutes, half an hour out my day in the morning beats 24 hours of beating yourself up to a pulp.
Yeah.
That's all it is. 20 minutes,
And
half
that's
an
what I
hour
mean.
just
That's
doing the morning
literally
routine.
all
I do have to do
someone could do.
I do have to do an evening routine as well. There's this thing called nightly inventory where I look at I review my day to see whether I've been selfish, dishonest. Was I thinking of myself a lot? Was I thinking of others? Was I kind and loving to everyone?
I think this is great, mate. I think this is great for fucking everyone.
We do say that in recovery, that we're the chosen few. Like the ones who have got this 12-step program under their belt are the chosen few, because there's so many people out there that could do with a 12-step program behind them.
Yeah. Like with people, I think everyone. There's no.
Russell Brand says it a lot. I think if you watch some of his podcasts.
But Russell Brand's been through it himself. Suffered with
100%.
fucking.
And look how he changed his life.
Grant Cardone, he's a billionaire. He was a crackhead on the street. Fucking.
I'll let you guys say names because I can't get away with saying names.
No, you can't. But
I might nod or wink at people if you're saying names.
The
but
guy from London Real.
Yeah, these are just like renowned people.
Yeah,
like,
these are podcast
hosts.
Yeah.
And these guys were at rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But like the guy said, I would do anything to go get my crack. I'll do anything. So if I can put that energy into getting crack, I can put that energy into doing anything.
He clearly works the same 12-step program as I do, because if you put as much energy as you did into getting your drinking drugs as much as you do into your recovery, you know.
I feel like you can just achieve. This is what I mean. Life, there's no cap on life. Like you can achieve it.
Exactly.
You can, if you believe it, you can achieve it. If you set yourself up, like I said, with these steps, I think the steps are unreal.
You know that one of the greatest things I've done in recovery, I managed, like, for some people, they're like, oh, fucking hell. But I passed my driving test almost a year ago. That's something I dreamt of doing for many, many, many years. I did have a bit of a conscience about me because I never wanted to be someone who was high whilst driving a car with my son in it, or just being, because obviously police pull people, you get arrested, you lose your license. But I had a bit of a conscience. But now that I passed my test, I can go and pick up my son. I can take him to his football. I can take him to wherever he needs to be, and we can go and have a day out somewhere. Like, for me, that's massive.
Free.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
massive.
mad because it's like, it just seems like you just got this positivity seeping out of you. Like you said, you got this aura. Like, even when you're in the gym and that, you just got this. You're alive, and you can feel, like I said, like you can feel your energy.
And I love feeling alive.
Yeah,
Because it beats feeling like shit.
Yeah.
It does. It genuinely does. Like, beating yourself up on a daily basis ain't fun. It ain't pretty. It's
it's boring. You've done it as well. Like,
and going to the gym. Like, I love that.
yeah,
I am a sporty person. I played football for quite from the age of about 8 up until the age of like 32. I played like quite a sort of decent level of football. But in the midst of all that, I'm still fucking using weed and this, that, and the other. But when I came into recovery, I weighed, because I was on the cocaine diet, not good for you. I weighed just over 9 stone. Like, I was really thin, man. Like, stupidly thin. Like, my jeans were falling off, my clothes looked baggy. But I walked in with a huge ego, going, "Well, you're wearing nice clothes, you've got nice shoes. Like, you are the man, but yet you've walked into recovery." I went, "No, man." Like, but now I can go around and actually feel. I put the effort in the gym. Like, you see me there a lot, Rain. Like, I do. I genuinely put. I can't train at the minute because I stupidly gave someone an arm wrestle in Newcastle last week. And
I think like with the gym, it's just showing up, man. Just like you said, just doing them. So just coming to the gym. Like, you don't want to go there that day. Just go there. Go for a walk. You can't do this. Go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's I feel like it's just good to have habits.
Yeah.
It's good to have good positive.
I can't have
habits.
too many habits because then eventually that habit might turn into addiction.
True.
And I have to be wary of I have to watch my behaviours. I think I have an affliction to buying white t-shirts and new trainers on a weekly basis. Like, I've had to watch that behaviour.
You reckon, so your personality is probably, or is obviously addictive. It's an addictive personality.
I'm not 100% sure on this, but I don't think there is such a thing as an addictive personality. You just suffer with the illness, addiction.
Yeah.
Like, I hear it. Like, I don't.
You either have it or you don't know.
Yeah, you either have it.
I feel but I feel like we all must have it.
I'm pretty sure that most generally all humans have it. All
humans, because like I love going to the gym, and for me that's it's an addiction, and sometimes I actually have to stop myself because I overtrain, and then I start getting into this rut where I'm like, you're doing too much. You know what it is, like you said, there's too much of anything's not good for you.
No, definitely not.
It's a balance in life, and like you said, we're still new to all this stuff. As humans, we're still adapting to all this gym, this life, this different diets, this. Back in the day, it was simple things: going for a walk in nature, laying butt naked on the fucking ground, like earthing,
catching your food,
catching your food. You know what I mean? Like, some days you would not eat, so there's the suffer. Like, I don't feel like we don't go through no suffering now or nothing. And I think a little bit of suffering is good for everyone, man.
It is, because pain is growth. When I first got in and people going, "Yeah, your pain is growth, mate, you'll see it eventually," I used to go, "Fuck off." This hurts. Like, this really, really hurts. But it's so true, because from where I come from, there isn't much that, I don't know, like a major accident, God forbid I ever do, but that pain that I suffered when I walked in, it was just astronomically hard and so sore and raw. Like, I just lost a relationship, a massive, like, I'm bang on coke, and then and weed, etc., etc. So then when you go through this program, I had to withdraw off weed, coke, and all the other stuff, as well as get over a broken heart and start a brand spanking new life.
And I bet the broken heart you felt it even more, because you're
it was awful.
Yeah,
it was awful, because I'd realised what damage I'd done. So when you it just gets amplified.
Yeah,
it just gets amplified.
Yeah, that's hardcore, though.
Yeah,
that's going through it.
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but sadly, right now,
but when you look
someone
back
is suffering exactly like I did.
Yeah,
sadly, right now,
when you look back at it, like you said, it's look at the growth. Look at everything you've grown off. Mm-hmm. Look how much better you've become.
Yeah,
it is. I
love the journey that I've been blessed to be a part of right now, and I can't wait to wake up tomorrow morning to see what my new day, like, tomorrow brings. See what my journey is going to be. You know.
We're just interrupting this podcast for a quick sponsorship break. This sponsor is a sponsor we use ourselves. You don't get the best logos or thumbnails unless you head over to our brother at Ollie D Graphics on Instagram. He does everything, ranging from logo designs, illustrations, animations, and much, much more. Head over to his Instagram, shoot him a little DM, say the Fijian sent you, or the Ginge. He might even chuck in a little extra. With excellent customer service, brilliant pricing, it really, really is a no-brainer. All his links are in the description, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify. And now we get back with the pod. Thank you. And obviously, oh no, carry on.
No, you. Sorry, you.
Question of the pod. Your most it adds into everything you've just been saying as well. It's your most euphoric moment in life so far. So the peak of the mountain for you so far in life.
Truthfully, it's probably when I was on a pill. That's my truth. Because if anyone's done pills,
but I love hearing that though, because he's so honest. Yeah, he's had all this magic. And he's like, it's probably when I done a pill.
I know. Yeah, I said it the other day. When I was at Michael BB.
What's the point of me telling you something that's not true? Do you know what I mean?
Nah.
I'm just trying to remember it in my head now. It's just gone. Because I remember saying to my mate, I'm coming up now, watch me. I just can't, where was I? Of all the places, it was Amsterdam in the middle of my mate's rave. Because whilst I'm doing that, I'm sniffing. When you're on pills, if you sniff poppers at the same time, it just brings you up even more. And I was in that moment. Do you know what I mean? That beautiful, beautiful moment of everything was just like wicked. The music sounded crisp. And I was just loving life. Like that's what God's honest truth. Like,
that's that moment. That just
if I could get away with taking weed, coke, alcohol, pills, poppers successfully, believe me, I'd still be out there drinking and using right now. But I don't take drink and drugs successfully. I take it to the point where it's going to lead me to an early grave.
Yeah,
you know. I do miss smoking the odd spliff. I miss Amsterdam I love that place. 9 times to Amsterdam. I genuinely thought I was going to retire out to Amsterdam and own a coffee shop. Yeah. Like me and my best mate had it in our heads that we were going to own a coffee shop. It was going to be called Hash Browns because we were going to sell breakfast as well. Like hash browns.
That's a good name.
It is, isn't it?
It's a good name.
It was all mapped out. It was all mapped out, but clearly my higher power said, no, that's not for you, son. Like, I've got another plan. But yeah, Amsterdam, on a pill, in my mate's rave, going for it. But then probably one of the worst experiences, probably taking the second pill after that, because I ran outside and goes, where's matey that gave me that pill? And then some dude came up with this ropey blue pill. I took it and it was lights out. I can't remember anything of the night. Well, I can, but one moment I'm sat in a McDonald's in Amsterdam and I've sat on the floor going, Other than that, I can't remember nothing.
It's good.
My mates took me. They had to take us home. Like we was all.
It's good. You can be so honest with yourself though.
Yeah.
You see, some people they just generally can't. They can't deal with it. They don't want to speak about it. They can't deal with it. And I feel like you're just so done with it. You've done it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's an old chapter in your book.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
an old chapter.
Yeah.
I could run through my phone and look at pictures and go, wasn't that a good night? But what I can't do is actually have like too many euphoric recalls of them moments.
Yeah.
Because then my head might lie to me and go, well, why don't you just try it?
See if I can get over it.
See what it's like again. It might be a bit different this time, but it's not going to be different because it's going to be exactly the same as what it was previously.
Yeah.
But that's the lie that your head will tell you.
Yeah.
And when you do it, you fucking realise how fun is this. And
you don't even need to like test it.
No, I'm not. I don't fancy,
it doesn't even need to.
I don't fancy testing it. If I could, like, I would love to remain clean and sober for the rest of my dying days. Like, that's how this program is designed to be, is for people to be clean and sober for the rest of their dying days. Sweet, bring it on. I'm more than happy with that. I have a great time clean and sober. You know, the best bit about it now is like going out till stupid o'clock in the morning. I can drive home and go straight to bed. I don't need to worry about going back into the kitchen to top up my Coke, to smoke a bit more spliff, to have a little bit more alcohol before I go to bed, bearing in mind it's already like 5 o'clock in the morning and the birds are tweeting, which is a horrible sound in it when you're on a session, is hearing the birds come up. Tweet, tweet. It's savage.
Oh, yeah. That's when
blue skies. It's like,
what am I doing?
something don't feel right.
What am I doing? You've got to take the walk of shame back in somewhere as well. The walk of shame's horrible.
Why is it so bad? What is
that feeling is horrible.
Why is that feeling so bad? Like, it's a horrible feeling. I used to hate it when I was younger. Like, I knew that's when I fucked up. I just fucked up.
It was at that moment.
Literally.
Oh man.
My mum used to stay awake as well. When I first used to go out clubbing at the age of 18, like she's pretty protective of me and my brothers. She used to be awake when I used to get in, and it'd be like, fuck, how am I going to use now? How can I use my drugs? She's waiting up, man. Fucking run upstairs, and I have to sleep in the same room as my younger brother, and I put this little divider up, creep down on the floor and fucking do my gear. just to get it in me. My brother's sleeping right there. And I fucking have to...
So you've been doing it from early then, if you think about it. You've been finding the little tricks.
Yeah, definitely. Cool, if only my brother knew how much drugs I actually took beside him whilst he was sleeping, he'd be devastated. He'd be devastated, man. But he's a loud snorer, so he probably never heard nothing like later, man. Like,
but it just shows like the just to the extremes people will go though.
Yeah, because people
100%.
People could take that in a bad way, because they feel like you're talking about it again, like, oh, this. But I feel like it's so good for you you can just speak about this shit, because it shows you're done. And people will never understand that. They'll be like, oh no, but you're doing it. No, it's like, bro, you had fun times. It's not like they weren't fun times. And you just took it to a serious
point. And there's no point in looking back and thinking, like, glossing over it like it didn't happen. No, it happened.
Yeah, it happened.
It fucking happened. So
own it. Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah, I do. And I think hopefully for anyone, well, I know everyone watching will love it as well, because it's just something different because we speak about this sort of stuff and mindset and all of this a lot anyway. And a lot of the people we have on are like, they're like good athletes or stuff like that.
I have seen.
We have a lot of people on like that, and I just think it would be good for people to just see like how badly it can affect people, and what people should or might need to do if they are going through a hard time.
Definitely.
And again, it comes to that same point, mate. Pain and suffering just makes you a better person.
It does.
It just does.
But don't let it go on for too long.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we don't want like, you don't need
it. It might chew you up a little bit too much, and then you might get them horrible thoughts. I think we all know what horrible thoughts I'm on about. I've never had them horrible thoughts where people want to go and take their own.
Yeah, but that's like, again, understanding. You need to understand your mindset, and maybe if you are a little bit like, go seek the help you can, or find help, or speak to someone, write it down. You'll be surprised how good it feels to write something down. I can be stressed sometimes. I go write down in my book, and I feel like it's weird to say, but it's a weight lifted off your shoulders. You've not even spoke to no one, but you just like Grant Cardone. That's why he says the ink to paper is a magical thing. Like,
but there is one thing I will say: if people are suffering with drink and drug problems right now, no amount of therapists, doctors, psychotherapists, counsellors, drug clinics are going to stop you taking drink and drugs. A 12-step spiritual program will. And that's a promise.
So
that's a promise.
That's always been my argument. You see with this, it's mindset. It's literally mindset. I feel like that with mental illness as well. I can't say for definite, but I just feel like it's your mind. The mind is such a powerful thing. It can play tricks. It can be devil. Like, you've got to really control your mind, because, like you said, you can go to these therapists. I've seen people go to therapists before. They don't work for a lot of people. No. They don't work.
I've done it all. This is why I've heard countless other people's experience on this stuff, as well as my own experience. I've tried the doctors, the counsellors, the clinics, the lot. Nothing worked. But did I ever go in there and tell them the whole truth? No. I would skim over so much stuff. Do you think my doctor or my counsellor or my therapist or the drug clinics really want to know how much I'm actually using? No.
That's what I mean. It's hard, man.
But I can come in here into this program, and the first principle of a 12-step program is honesty. So you have to start getting honest. There's no point in doing half measures. The book says half measures avail you nothing. You have to go in and be completely and utterly honest. Show a lot of humility. Show a lot of willingness. And go and attack it. Like, your life depends on it, because if you are a drug addict of my variety, your life will depend on it.
It's like you dampen your ego as well, don't you?
You need to rein your ego.
You leave your ego at the door, and you're just like, it's all of me.
If I get too much of an ego, like, I got all these little phrases thrown at me. Someone said your ego is to edge God out. So if I get too much of an ego, I'm going to kick God out, but then he's going to come back and strike me and humble the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And if God humbles you, it generally kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I've had it a couple of times. Like I've run my life back on Paul's will, and then God will humble me because I've got too much of an ego. Do you know? You know, we were talking about the gym. Are you ready for this? This is how I know God exists in my life. Yeah, I've smashed out the gym, and I managed to push 110 on the bench press for free.
Yeah.
Like I had someone help me, one of the PTs at the gym, done 110, and I was like fucking bubbling. I was telling everyone, oh, I'm pushing this, that, and the other, taking my top off, going, wait. You know what I mean? I went to my son's mum's house. She's a Christian. She believes in God, and she's got these cards on the table, these spiritual cards, Christian cards, and I pulled one out, and it kind of said something along the lines of, "Watch your ego in the gym." Like, I was like,
Yep.
of all the weeks I've just pushed 110. I'm going around shouting about it, this, that, and the other. I'm going to my recovery meetings, going, yeah, I'm pushing this, that, and the other. And it said like, watch your ego around this stuff. And a couple of days later, I injured myself.
But that's why.
And then God was like,
And they tried to tell you.
He was
It's
trying to
mad,
tell you.
isn't it?
He was trying to tell me
That's
to
why I
watch
feel like-
myself.
Yeah.
I didn't listen. I carried on going, yeah, I'm the big I am. I can push this now in the gym. And he's like, sorry, mate, you're going to have an injury.
Yeah.
Get.
That's why you can learn so much from training, though, because it's the same principles as life, isn't it? Like you said, you sometimes you got to leave your ego at the door in gym. Like sometimes you got to scale the weight. Sometimes you need to go a bit heavier. Sometimes you're gonna come across a difficult movement you can't do, and you got to overcome it. Or you got to lift a little bit heavier weight this week. How are you gonna overcome it? Or you ain't got the energy. It's sort of like this, similar to life. I feel like the gym. That's why personally for me, I like it. It's more mentally. I think I go.
I do like going to the gym thinking today maybe you might push a PB. But I think ever since that 110 push on the bench press,
Yeah, you can't
I'm
always go
I'm not
there,
going to
yeah.
go there today. I'm going to shout about it.
Yeah, I used to.
It's just like a little fist bump to myself. Like, you've done that. You've done that.
Moral victory.
Yeah, 100%.
It's such a macho thing as well. The gym,
Of course it is.
Because like, especially when you can lift heavy weight, that's like every man's like accomplishment. And it go to the gym. I want to look like the man, but more times you just break yourself.
Yeah, you do. Especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I just don't do it no more, man. I humbled myself a long time ago.
We
So
have
I'm
to
not
kind
going to be the biggest guy. I'm not going to be the strongest one. I'm a little man. I'm 5'7", maybe 5'8".
Yeah, but I get that. And I get that. When I first walked in,
But that's what I mean. Like,
scared as fuck.
but that's Well, for me, I've been training like 7 years, and obviously it took me. Fucking hell, probably took me like 5 years, 6 years. No, I've probably been training longer, 6 years to actually realize, oh, you're just hurting yourself. You're not benefiting yourself by lifting all this weight. You're just your back's fucking hurting, your legs are all fucked, and then that's when I started to realize actually, no, I need to train smarter. And then ever since then,
Yeah, and again, like you've just said them last words. Ever since then, I've been hounding it in the gym. Don't get me wrong, but I've not been going as hardcore.
Yeah.
as that,
Some
'cause
days you can. There's an odd day you might feel strong. Go for it.
Exactly.
But some days you might just need to actually be like, oh, actually, no, I need to scale back. Yeah, I need to relax. But then again, it's ego, because in the gym I still do it. I went there today in the morning, and my ego's like, I'm lifting the weight, and I'm like, yeah, it feels good. It feels good. I'm like, yeah, just try. And I'm like, nah, you just keep. You feel good. You're just gonna overdo it. It's a fine line, man. There's a fine line where you can just do too much. That's for everything, I think. You gotta find that.
Yeah.
It's that fine line, man. Just relax sometimes. But the ego, man, it's powerful.
I haven't been able to train for I think it's 8 days now. But a few months ago, I would have been absolutely going, oh fucking, I want to train. But now I've just like taken a step back. You can't train.
Nah, I see you in the gym a couple of weeks ago as well, and your arm was hurting, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You were
I think it was last week.
Yeah,
was it
you-
last week?
No, I thought it was the week before. You done something, didn't you?
I seem to be forever sort of pushing or
don't know, you
tweaking
done
something, but
something. You did
it's
a little bit of
normally my
arms.
arm. It seems to just
Yeah.
God seems to keep saying, "I'm going to mess up your arm and your shoulder for you, Paul." Constantly, I don't know why. I don't know. There's an ulterior
He's trying to tell you something.
Yeah, but I don't know what. But
Yeah.
so the sooner it heals, the better. Please God, if you don't mind, mate. I'm kind of getting a little bit bored in the evening sometimes, but. Now this is different. Like coming here and speaking about it. It's a bit different going to a recovery meeting and speaking about it in front of people who already know this how to use drugs unsuccessfully. But coming here and sort of explaining it to you guys what it's like, maybe it's opened your eyes a little bit as to
Yeah, no, it has 100%.
like if you can get away with drinking drugs successfully, good, go do it. But if it leads to a problem, you kind of need to nail it before it becomes really bad. Like I'd rather people get off at a ground level try not to smash yourself to bits where you come in at rock bottom. Sometimes it helps if you are rock bottom. Like for me, I had to be rock bottom, but there are some people who know they got a problem and they come in at a ground level, you know, just at the right moment. But for someone like me, a proper full-blown addict, needed to be broken, busted, beaten, thought I was beyond repair, but I'm repaired, I'm healthy, I'm alive, I'm kicking, I'm well over 3 years clean and sober by the grace of God, taking one day at a time out of this through the program, man.
No, it's wicked.
No,
And it's been a brilliant story as well, man.
I feel like this pod, yeah, it's different, man. It's an eye opener, isn't it, to everyone? Because
it's a relatable subject as well.
To everything. We can touch on so many things. Relatable to so many things. So everyone can relate to it in some way.
No, but obviously, thank you for coming.
No, you're more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
Nice.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
And that's been another episode of the Curious Fijian, people. And if you are struggling with anything, we say it all the time on here. Just if you need someone to speak to anything, just message us, DM us. If you've got deeper problems, maybe to do with drink and alcohol, and this is opens your eyes,
you're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to pass on my number.
Yeah, and
help yourselves.
We can go down that route, but just like, subscribe, and peace, people.